Today I'm joined by Todd Liubinskas, who is one of the founders of the 440 Run Club. Very famous in Bondi. Everyone knows that running club. I still haven't been there yet, but I will. He's the fitness director at Men's Health Australia and head of partnerships at What Ability, and so much more. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I can't believe I have not been to 440. Can you give us a quick rundown on what 440 is?
Well, we've got to talk about that. If I'm here now, I've made the effort to come here. You got to make the effort.
I got to step up.
Yeah.
The coach has spoken.
Yes.
What's the call time?
Well, it's 5 o'clock on a Saturday.
Yeah, a.m.
A.m.
Some people are still partying at that time.
Correct.
Some people.
That's the purpose behind it. My business partner Trent Knox founded it 6 years ago through sobriety.
Yeah.
So he came from a real estate background, and they used to do that session as a part of the gym he was involved with, and there's an old track session which is like 10 400s.
Oh.
So they used to put it on the hill at Bronte, which is 440 meters from the bottom to the top. And then he trained for an event down in Canberra and placed really well. And then after that, he was like, well, why don't I just keep training and doing it? So yeah, it's about 6 years ago, he just turned up one day and put a note out to all his mates.
So good.
No one turned up on the first day.
No one would want to turn up on the first time.
Because it's tough. Like Saturday morning's a tough day to get up. You've had a big week. Why would you go to bed early and get up at 4 or I'm up at 3:30 Saturdays mainly?
That's wild.
Because we've got a bit of stuff that we do down there before the run starts. But it's something to everyone. It's not really, you don't have to come down and run super fast if you don't want to.
You can come down and walk.
Come and walk.
Yeah.
Bring your pets.
For our audience listening at home, if anyone is interested in finding a really beautiful community, 440 is down in Bronte.
Bronte, yep. We've got locations all around, so 440.com.au, or follow us on Instagram. We've got a few different ones popping up all around Sydney, and we've got them all around the country and a couple over in the US as well.
And it's completely free.
Completely free.
It's amazing.
Yep.
You're doing God's work.
Thanks.
So good. We should really jump into the episode. But yes, I will come to 440.
Yep.
I'll probably try and drag Georgia. She will likely walk, and I will do my best to run, but you might need
You're all welcome.
the vomit bucket, if I'm going to be running properly, because that's pretty hectic.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I will actually get into today's episode.
Okay.
This episode is how to get ready for a 10K run. And the reason I wanted to get you in for this episode specifically is obviously you're a runner. You're known for your running and your athletic background. But also because I noticed throughout the pandemic that there was a lot of runners. And there seems to be this wave now of people wanting to race and compete, which I think is incredible. So I wanted to get you in the studio today to talk about running and how people can improve their running. We're going to talk about technique and how to prepare for a race. My first question is, what is a realistic timeline to run a 10K if you're not a runner? So maybe you've already run 5K, but you're wanting to go to the next level.
Yeah, so if you've run a 5K, I mean, I'll start from the very beginning. And if you're just new to running, what does it look like? No matter what you are in terms of your health and fitness, you might be extremely fit in the gym, but you've never run. Or you might have never run before, and this is like the first part of what you're going to be doing with your running. Just start with running for a minute, walking for a minute.
Yeah, I love that.
Running for a minute, walking for a minute. And then you'll eventually go, oh, I ran a bit further. And sometimes it does take your breath away because you're like, I don't even know what this running thing is. But if you start quite small and then build up, and then each week aim to do, I guess, if it's a 5K and you want to get to your 10K, do your 5K and then go an extra kilometre.
Yeah, I love that. So progressively overloading. Would you say 1K at a time? If you were running 5K comfortably and then you wanted to jump to a 10, would you each week do a 1K increase, or would you do 500 meters? Like, what would be more realistic?
Oh, go for a K. I think it's nice to go in. I mean, it depends if you're injured or not. If you're injured, then I would advise not to do it at all. But I think going for that extra K will just push your body to that extra level.
Yeah.
And if you, all of a sudden, 5 weeks after you've done your first 5K, you're already at 10K.
Amazing.
Do you know what I mean? So try and work it out. So if it's running maybe twice a week in that first week, you haven't run for a while, then maybe run another one. So add a third one in, and 3 times a week running at that level, you'll eventually get fitter. You'll eventually get used to being on your feet for that long as well.
Totally.
And then you can start to bring in different elements. So like there's strength elements, which I think we're going to get to.
Yeah.
Is like, what other training do you need to involve? But you'll notice straight away if you run one more run a week, you're going to start sleeping a bit better.
Yeah.
You want to eat a bit better because you don't want to be slow on the third run or the second run.
It's so true. If someone isn't a runner and they run a little bit and they want to get to their first 10K, where do they even start? Like, do they need to be looking at their cadence? Do they need to be looking at their nutrition? Like, what are the steps to even getting to race day?
I think there's a lot of resources out there, and this talking about it now is to kickstart that. And I think looking at maybe a local run coach.
Yeah.
So someone that is actually just going to put eyes on you for maybe 2 or 3 sessions, and that's just at the start. Technique is key. And if you've got a really nice technique, you actually build foundations before you go into like a really fast 10K,
Yeah.
especially if you've never done it before. And then once you've got those things down pat, the diet and all that, that's the fun stuff. Because then you can go, all right, what if I eat like heaps of broccoli and heaps of rice and some like real lean chicken before I run? As opposed to if I'm going to go have a burger and chips before I run, what does that look like?
How does it feel?
Yeah.
If someone has not a lot of knowledge with recovery or nutrition or training, would you recommend them getting a watch or new pairs of sneakers? Like in terms of prep for race day, like is there like 5 things that you'd recommend?
Yeah. Really pointing at that we look at the new Apple Watch because they've got the new Ultra on.
Yeah.
And it is sick. Like it's
Yeah.
unreal. And I don't want to product push it or anything like that, but it's honestly one of the best tools I think I've used.
Amazing.
Just with the way that you can segment your workouts, but also go multi-workout.
I
So
think
can
I've got
go
the same one.
Yeah, like a run to
Amazing. You can actually break it up.
break it up.
Yeah.
It's really diverse in terms of jumping in the water and all that sort of stuff, which I love doing, like sand workouts and all that sort of stuff. That's a really nice piece of kit that you can have and you can always put on, and it measures you and measures your sleep as well. Sleep's a big part
Oh my
of
gosh, 100%.
it. And then, yeah, that's the fun bit, going out and buying new kicks and buying like something that's going to improve your run, but also really looking, that's when the running coach will come in to like, do you pronate or how does your
Yeah.
foot sit? Have you got a flat foot? Are you arched? If you go and get that looked at, then you can actually get the shoe that really aligns to you.
Suits for your body.
And then I think the other bit is like performance and wearing something that actually makes you feel strong and makes
Yeah.
you feel like there's a reason why a lot of athletes, when they come out, they wear it and they're proud of what they're wearing. You can take some of that into your training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you wear something pretty cool, you're like, all right, I'm on. Like I feel good. I look good. This is what I'm going to do.
When you have a fresh kit and it's comfortable and breathable, it's everything.
Yeah.
Like I know this obviously is like probably way too much information, but the biggest thing with girls is running in like a good G-string. Because like if you don't run in a great pair of undies the whole run, and if you're running 10 or 12K or longer, you don't want to be picking out of your bum. Like you want to be
100%.
comfortable. So it is.
Yep.
It's like, what headphones have you got? What watch have you got? Not saying you need to go out and spend heaps of money, but if
Yep.
running is important to you and you've got this really good goal, it is important that you've got your headphones, your music, a good playlist.
Mhm.
You've got kit that's really comfortable and breathable. You're not too hot. You've got running shoes that are great for you. And also maybe an app. Do you track your runs with an app?
So I used to use Strava a lot.
Yeah.
But because I'm onto Apple Fitness, everything revolves around that now.
So good.
And I can do a lot with my heart rate. It's got heart rate zones on here too.
Yeah.
So like when you're running, I can actually see what heart rate zone I'm at.
Wow.
When I'm like busted, or because I get quite intuitive with all that sort of stuff. I'm
it's
like,
amazing.
I need to work out how this feels and then try and better it next time.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
if there's like an 8 or a 9K run and there's a few hills in there, then
the
I want to make
hills
sure
just
that I
murder you, don't they?
beat the hill segment that I've done before, or the 440 like we were talking about. So it's 440 meters up. Do I go faster on the downhill or do I go faster on my uphill and recover more on the downhill?
Oh,
So
that's genius.
all those other things you can work around.
It's being intuitive with your body, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to jump into running technique. Have you got any cues for amazing running technique?
Yeah, like I'm not a running coach, but what's worked for me is foot speed and cadence. So running at that sort of 180 beat, that cadence, which is 180 steps per minute.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what it works out to be. But also trying to, when you run up a hill, is lean into a hill
Yeah.
and then shorten your strides a little bit more. And then when you're coming down the hill, here's a little trick that I learnt. I did a running school a few years back, but putting your arms down
Really?
makes you go a bit faster.
Putting your arms down when you run downhill.
Because you think,
What a
right,
visual.
when you, it's like all these people running with no, like,
It makes sense though.
yeah. So you've got all your like your levers, right? So biomechanics and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
If your arms are down, then you're actually so Sea to Surf this year down the back end of that last hill. My arms were down because it actually allowed me to go a bit faster, but I wasn't exerting a lot more energy.
Gosh, I didn't know that.
So if you ever want to get a bit faster at your running, that's a really nice sort of hack to look at to go down a hill, arms down. You can actually fly down the hill a bit more.
I imagine penguins, but moving really fast.
Very fast.
Fast penguins.
Yeah, but keep your arms out. So if you stack it, don't blame me.
I played Tom.
Correct.
That's a great tip.
Yeah, so cadence, arms down, and then also, leaning into hills and just understanding your terrain.
Yeah.
So knowing exactly where you're going to run and if it's on a track or if it's, I generally love to do hills a lot more because on the flat surfaces, I can go a lot faster.
Oh, 100%. Hills are savage. Hills and the stairs. I love stairs.
Yeah.
It's a love-hate. Let's talk about running shoes. I feel really passionate about running shoes.
Mhm.
I have 59. I actually had 59 pairs of sneakers and I've culled and got more and culled and got more. Like I'm a running freak.
Yep.
But I want to talk about specifics in running shoes and how important a pair of running shoes is for that kind of distance, 10 or even half marathons.
Yeah, it's a great topic, and most guys that run or most people that run are sneakerheads by default
Yeah.
because you
Become
naturally
obsessed.
yeah, but you want a good range of shoes on rotation too. You don't want to get used to one pair of shoes.
Ooh.
Yeah, the reason behind that is because your foot, doesn't want to come accustomed to one set because then you'll overdo certain parts of your foot. So if you keep that foot guessing, you've got so many nerve endings on the bottom of your feet. There's a lot of guys that came and run at the 440 at the start when we started, and they recommended that from
Interesting.
coming in and looking at either whether it's different brands or different versions of that brand. That's what you've got to look at as well. So when you get a little bit more serious into your running and you want to run a
Yeah.
little bit more, you might have days where you might do a 10K in a pair of shoes and you love that pair of shoes. But what happens when you go to sprint work?
Oh, I always swap my shoes out.
Correct.
I swap my shoes out for distance though.
Yep.
But if I were to do, so I run in Hockers,
Yep.
but I have a few different pairs of shoes for different things. Like I won't run stairs in Hockers because they're too thick, they're too chunky.
Yep.
I'll do like a more middle distance shoe, lighter shoe. And then obviously I have cross trainers as well. But I do swap them up. I want to talk to you about your recovery because you've done so many different events. You've pushed yourself to the absolute limit.
Mm.
Let's say someone's done a massive run or they're training for a 10K or a half. What are the recovery, like are there, say, 3 or 5 recovery habits you would do in a routine or that you would suggest to your clients?
Yep. So the older you get, and as soon as you go over about 30 or 27 even, over 30, every hour of exercise you do, there should be 15 minutes of recovery. So
Are you serious?
Yep. Well, that's just
So
from,
I'm 29. I need half an hour of recovery.
Yep.
What?
So, and that recovery can be in different forms. It could be stretching, could be foam rolling, could be sauna, could be jumping in a cold shower, ice baths, something that's 50. So if you train for 2 hours, there's half an hour of recovery, and whatever that looks like could be so many different elements because there's so many different things out, right? So we sit
Totally.
in recovery boots for half an hour,
Yeah.
just as good.
Or trigger point ball,
Whatever it
getting in
looks
the
like.
foam roller.
Stretching. So general rule of thumb, that's kind of what we want to look at is an hour worth of exercise, 15 minutes of recovery. And that could be a plethora of different things that you've got access to. Some, if you don't have access to things like that, because it does get expensive, like a Theragun's worth nearly, $600-700.
I love it.
Recovery boots are like, nearly $1,000 and things like that. But you can go into a cold shower.
Totally. Get in the ocean.
Get in the ocean.
Or a foam roller, like Kmart sells foam rollers.
Or
Or the
grab,
trigger point balls. You know those? I have a lacrosse ball. It was $5. That lacrosse ball, because I've got I've got a pre-existing injury in my back and my neck.
Yep.
And I will get on the ball literally in my neck with my body on the wall.
Yep.
And same with the foam roller. I have a massage gun too, but like the foam roller and the trigger point ball
Mhm.
have been incredible for me. Like saves me going to the physio. I go to the physio and the chiro as well.
Yep.
But like if I didn't have those two like cheap tools, I'd be at the physio every 2 days.
Yep. And even look at a point in like your couch. You can like sit on the edge of your couch and find a point there.
Yeah.
With your balls as well, like put them on the ground and then take your shoes off and then walk on them.
I know, with the rolling out the plantar fascia. You know, actually, what's a really good one, which my old coach told me about? For plantar fasciitis, you get a styrofoam cup and you fill it with water and then you freeze it and then overnight and then you roll back the styrofoam and then you rub. It's like this massive ice block and then you rub it on your shin splints or on under your foot for plantar fascia. Or on your Achilles because it's instant cold and it also because it's so hard, it hurts.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Needling's good.
Needling's great. Massage is great.
Yeah.
But go for like a remedial massage and go to someone that's certified. Don't go somewhere and be like somewhere in a Westfield or something like that and it's not really. And you go, you won't get the same result.
It's got to hurt.
Yeah.
You've got to want to vomit, I reckon, for it to be. I know that sounds so bad, but like the massages that hurt so much truly are the ones that do the best.
Well, and you'll notice if you haven't had a massage for a while, then you go and get one, you want to immediately like go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because you've like just put yourself, it's another form of workout.
Yeah.
So I haven't been for the past few weeks, but I'm definitely going to start going back.
I know, I love getting massages.
Yeah.
It's so necessary when you're training hard.
Yeah.
I want to talk about training that hinders your performance for running and training that is good for running. So kind of like we sort of touched on it earlier, but surely there's exercises that we shouldn't be doing that impact our running and vice versa.
Yeah, I think like compound movements, if you want to get better at running, then it's pretty silly to go into a really heavy strength phase or do like, it's great to do certain elements of that when it comes down to a strength workout, but you don't really want to go into like powerlifting or anything like that. Like that's probably not going to serve you to get faster and get lighter in your running.
Totally.
Right. But yeah, with that, I don't think there's an extreme like no's in everything because I think there's a space for everything. Depends on whatever you like to do.
Totally.
But just be mindful that there's always cause and effect, right? If you go and run 3 times a week and you're like, I really want to get my 5K time down, and then you go and do a heap of like powerlifting or some heavy stuff and squats.
Your legs are going to be fatigued and sore.
Correct. So that's probably not going to serve you any good. I do like mixing your training up though. So if you're doing 3 runs a week, maybe go and do like a boxing class.
Love. Yeah.
Something like that, which is challenges you a little bit, challenges the body, but also keeps it guessing. And then you can go back and still do your recovery, still do your running, and then maybe add in like a strength endurance session.
Yeah.
Something like that, which could be CrossFit session, for example, or something that's, high intensity enough, but it's not going to put you in a bad body position as well.
So it's just actually adding value to the training that you're doing.
Yeah, totally. And sometimes like I love resting as well, like making sure that there's part of that session we probably haven't spoken about is getting 8 hours of sleep in.
Yeah.
And making sure you're having your magnesium before you go to bed, the right amount of water, eating enough so you've got enough to recover, because if you're not sleeping right, you're not going to be able to.
The sleep element is everything.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep.
Everything in recovery.
That's a session for me. I feel like if I miss a sleep or if I go and I'm guilty of it all the time because Friday night happens, I'm watching the footy, I get to about 10 o'clock, but I know I've got to get up at 3:30. And I'm like, but I really want to, because I've just got vested interest in it. My partner works in football, so I'm like always wanting to watch her and support her and do that stuff. And even when you go out to an event and then I come back and I wake up Saturday and I'm like, it's popping out of my head. But that's just what you got to do.
Well, you got to live as well, don't you?
Correct. So I try and make that up the next day and the day after.
Let's talk about some running related injuries. So what are the most common injuries for, say, a non-runner or maybe like a low mileage runner? And how can we avoid them?
Most common one I've seen is probably the Achilles, around, Achilles and calf.
Yeah.
Calf tears, calf strains. That naturally flows up into like knee and a bit of like medial stuff, maybe some hip and potential back stuff. That's the sort of flow of it always, because a lot of people when they start running and what we probably left out of what we were going to say is you neglect your calves.
Always.
Calf raises, doing things where you're just standing on the spot and raising up and coming back down, raising up, coming back down.
Constantly strengthening them.
Constantly. And I was lucky that I did a lot of that stuff when I was coming through football, through school. Had a really good strength coach that taught me that. But a lot of people will go, yeah, sweet, I'll just go running. And you might be carrying a little bit more weight. And then all of a sudden you're putting all this weight and force on little baby calves.
It's a lot of load through
Yep.
the calves. Isn't it like when you're sprinting at 7 times the force of your body weight? Sprinting
On your calves?
through your feet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure, but
The sprinting, I think
you'd
it's
probably be able
7
to tell me
times.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would imagine jogging could potentially be about half of that, which still, if it's about 3 or 3.5 of your body weight going through your knees, hips, lower back, and then your poor little baby calves just absorbing it.
Yep.
It's a shitload. That's a lot of weight to absorb.
And thinking of like dorsiflexion through your ankle. So think of your arm like your foot, right? So you've got your ankle, your knee, and your hip, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you've got enough flexion through there that it allows to go up into your knee, into your hips.
Totally.
It's all connected.
I know.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. It is scary. It's
Yeah.
scary when you start getting injured because it travels. That's the issue.
Yeah.
And it is funny because you go, oh, your pelvis is out and then you get the back pain and then your back's out. I mean, you get the back pain, you get the neck pain. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
you just got to be cracked and manipulated. And also looking at your technique and your recovery and all the things you're doing because you can train the house down, but if you're not recovering, your training's not being used.
Yeah.
You'll just go backwards.
Correct. So calves and Achilles are probably the most common injuries when you're not, when you've just started running.
Yeah, it's awful. With the mental side of setting a 10K running goal, would it be strong enough to say you just want to lose weight? Like, would that get people across the line? Or does there need to be a stronger why? I personally don't like goals around weight loss, but it seems to be it always seems to be the first core goal, and then it kind of gets disintegrated and people look for like skill-based performance goals.
Yeah, I think if you're probably right, and I don't like talking about weight stuff either. The only reason I don't like talking about it is because it takes you off why you're really there.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, you want to lose weight, but if you won't enjoy it if you just focus on I got to weigh myself, I got to eat this, I got to eat that, I got to do all these things, and it's like suddenly doesn't become fun. And that's why we all do it. Exercise is fun. So you want to make it fun. So I think the whole purpose behind it is shifting the mindset and going, well, I want to challenge myself and I want to actually do something that's going to make me feel a bit better.
Yeah.
So is it getting into that dress for that event as opposed to running that race?
But it is interesting because all of a sudden you do see this big shift. It might be like when I was training people, it was always weight loss. I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight.
Yep.
And then like 2 or 3 weeks in, it's like, nah, that's not my goal anymore.
100%. They just change it.
So it kind of like almost gets people going, but it's never the end goal.
Yeah. And you want to sustain it. So you want something that, and if it's something for like an event, as we said before, that's great. But I think looking at what you want to do, and if it's spending more time with someone, right, that's another good goal. So if we were like, all right, we hadn't seen each other and we were mates and we were, 2 years down the track, all right, let's do something to connect again. Well, I'm accountable to you, you're accountable to me.
Yeah, I love that.
So get an accountability buddy. So if you can start to go, right, well, every week we're going to train twice a week.
Yeah.
And if I don't show up and you're calling me going, where are you? What are you doing?
Yeah.
That's you don't want to let each other down.
No.
So I think that's a nice way to look at it as well. And that's, Noxie and I do that all the time. We literally call each other at like 3 a.m. on a Saturday or 3:30 and we're like, oi, like give each other an oi and whatever. And we know that that's our accountability piece.
Yeah.
Or if I train today, I go, hey, I've just done this. Let's go and like, well, can you do that? That sort of vibe.
We're going to jump now into our listener questions. And question number 1 is, what do I eat before a race?
It's important that I stick to all the things that I like to eat so I don't change things up on race day.
Yeah.
So if I'm eating things throughout the week and like months out, I'm not going to change it just because I'm racing. So I generally have a couple of eggs, maybe some sweet potato and salt it up. That's about it really.
The morning before?
Yeah.
What about the night before?
Morning of, night before, probably carb load up a little bit. And the week of, I'm carb loading naturally, but heaps of veggies, rice, a little bit of protein, not a whole
Yeah.
heap, but I've usually done that in the days leading up.
Yeah.
Depends how big the race is too.
True.
So if it was like Defiance, like a full 11 and a half hour day.
How many calories would you be burning on that?
Defiance?
Yeah.
I think I burnt like 4,000.
Yeah. So
On the
you're
first day.
really needing to up the calories throughout the week.
Yep.
It's also nicer to up your calories throughout the week so that you're not, and also because for our audience listening at home, you store glucose. So that's what carb loading is. When you're eating carbohydrates, your body stores it as glucose in your muscles to then be used as fuel. And that's the way to do it. It's not having this massive, massive meal
The night
where
before.
you feel ill and you've really overdone it. And in the morning you feel heavy, or maybe you haven't gone to the bathroom. Like the last thing you want to do pre-race is be constipated and feel crap. So
Yep.
it is about starting off, like you said, carb loading slowly throughout the week, hydration, salt, and not changing it up. Because you can get diarrhea, you can get cramps. Like you don't want to go have Indian or some random takeaway the night before a big race.
And generally, if people are watching or listening and they haven't done a race before, the first thing they'll do is be like, oh, what are you eating? Or what's that? Or they'll ask someone that's probably done it before and they'll go, right, well, I need to do that. It's like, no. Stick to your plan, and your plan should be done 3 to 4 months out.
Trial and error as well.
Yeah. And that's
Or a
when you
dietitian.
train.
Work with a dietitian. If
Correct.
you're really serious, I mean. Like I'm not
Yeah.
saying anyone just needs to work with a nutritionist or a dietitian who wants to do a race if they've got a handle on it. But if you're really serious about your racing, you should actually work with a nutritionist or a dietitian.
Agreed.
Question number 2. How long do I start tapering before a race?
So depending on the race size and how big it is. So if it's a sprint, generally look at, your training block. And if it's like, say, a 3-month training block, and you probably go really hard in that first 4 weeks, the meat of it is probably, the 4th week into like the 9th or 10th week. And then maybe a week and a half out, you should start to maybe go, right, well, this is what I need to do, focus on my recovery a bit more. Generally, all the work's probably done, so you don't want to overdo it a couple of weeks out and risk injury.
Or come into the race fatigued.
Correct.
Tapering's the best.
Yeah.
Question number 3, I think you may have answered, but it's should I get a coach, particularly for this 10K or even a half marathon distance as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's merit in exactly what a running coach or a specific person's going to tell you, with especially what we spoke about with your feet are different. Everyone's feet are different. You're biomechanically made up totally different to the next person. Like your running style is going to be different to mine. So working on that, working on a really nice plan, also injury prevention
Massive.
is huge, because if you've got a running coach and you've got a plan going into it, you're going to actually enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah.
Because you might go out and if you don't have a running coach and you're like, yeah, cool, I can just do it. I'm going to go do 10K now. And then you're busted for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Or you get injured.
Correct. And you want people to enjoy it. So yeah, definitely get a running coach. There's a million of them around. But if you're in Sydney,
Come to 440.
Come to the 440. We don't teach you to run.
No,
but
it's a
we'll
community.
definitely put you in the right. I'll plug the running room.
The running room, what's that?
The running room at Clovelly.
Yeah.
Patty Mack and the boys there are really good. They're the ones that really taught us a lot about like changing and rotating shoes and things like that.
Amazing.
So if you ever want a good running coach and someone to actually focus on you,
That's brilliant.
They're really
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we're now going to jump into our recommendations, which is what we're listening to, reading, or watching that our audience will hopefully benefit from. The book I'm recommending is The Champion's Mind: How Great Athletes Think, Train, and Thrive. And then on YouTube or Netflix, I don't watch a lot of Netflix, but I watch a lot of YouTube and I get stuck in some vortexes. This one is Nick Bear. He's a marathon runner. He's got a really good YouTube video called My Top 10 Running Accessories. So he talks about like the shoes and all the gear he uses, and I just thought it was a really good YouTube to watch.
Cool.
Throw to you, Bruz.
Throw to me. I don't really I've not really listening to a lot of like running or fitness podcasts and things like that. But podcasts, I love Mark Boris's Straight Talk.
Yeah.
It's like it's nice to drive to and listen to, and
He's amazing.
yeah, he's a legend. The book, and I've read it a few times and I just keep reading it. Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now.
Yes.
Like it's just one of those ones that it's always there, and I always find things to go, right, I need to go in and just keep reading it.
Beautiful.
Series, I like the true documentaries on Netflix. So
What's a
there's
true documentary?
they have like there's one like Malice in the Palace. It talks about the times in sporting, timelines where there could have been a massive event, and they unpack that event.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it's on Netflix. I think it's called the True series or something like that. But
Yeah,
there's
fun.
a whole heap of them, and they're really cool. There's one on the America's Cup in 1983, and I was born that year.
Oh, cool.
My dad was feeding me when Australia beat the US in the America's Cup in sailing, and so I wanted to watch that and sort
That's
of get
cool.
some history on that. So that's kind of my recommendations.
Yeah, I love that. You can find Todd on Instagram at Todd Liubinskas. And if anyone is in the Sydney area and wants to join an amazing community, it's completely free. You can come once, you can come as many times as you like. At 4:40, the run starts at 5, meeting at Bronte. And if you want to work with Todd, you're doing coaching, aren't you?
Yeah. So I'm doing strength and conditioning, not really running as such, but if you want to work with me, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, amazing. And people can hit you up on Instagram.
They can.
Thank you so much for coming in. This was such a good episode. I feel really motivated to run now, / also feel very guilty that I have not yet come to the 4:40.
You can come whenever you want,
Thank you.
but you have to come before the end of the year.
Oh my God, I will come before the end
There
of the
better
year.
not be a 23 in front of the number.
We will go. I promise. I'm going to put it in my calendar after this.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks
You're
for having me.
amazing. I appreciate you, all the work you're doing. You guys are doing such incredible things with the community. And I learnt a lot from today's app.
Yeah, me too.